Welcome everyone to another Hillcrest Online Cafe. I'm Pastor Andrew, and I have with me here one of my good friends, John Hodgin. And when I first met him, he was this tall, young, strapping man, kind of the church, the doorway, and he's now as strong and as big, if not bigger, stronger than ever before. And it's been a pleasure to work with John and our worship team and different aspects. And I just want you guys to get to know John like I do. And so you've seen him drumming in church, but there's so much more to this man than just banging on some drums. So I want to ask John some questions today, just to help people get to know you. So my first question for you is: you've been a part of this Hillcrest family longer than me for many years. How did you first come to Hillcrest?
Well, the first time I heard about Hillcrest, I was still going to the Our Lady Assumption Church just down the road. And I tried to talk with Monsignor Sheehan and a few of the others about getting a youth group started.
Right.
Because all we had was junior choir, altar serving. Nothing really for the kids to go to, so a lot of us went to the Carleton Community Center. I knew my friends Tristan and Tanner came to the youth group. I never really went until my friend Amanda Dennison and Jordan Eisner stopped off at the store that lived beside. That was Tristan and Tanner's dad's old store. And they said, yeah, we're going to an all-nighter. I have an extra sheet. It's $20. Fill it out and come with us. Grab some stuff to go swimming and some skates if you got them. And came up with them. Met a few people. Met the first youth pastor, Jamie Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And from there, just started talking with more people throughout the night. And next thing I knew, I was coming to the church as a youth on Friday nights, right from school. Right after school and right after youth group was done, a bunch of us went to McDonald's till even after they locked the doors.
Yeah.
And then we would all just go home after that. And it wasn't until grade 10 or 11 that I started coming to Sunday services.
Right.
Because I started coming here when I was in grade 6.
Mm-hmm.
So quite a while ago.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't until Buck Brooker took over as pastor that I started coming a little more. And then I got interested with what he was talking about and all stuff. And they knew that I drummed for the youth group. So they're like, hey, you want to drum? Sure, why not? Jumped up on stage and just been doing that ever since.
Been a fixture of the church ever since. So, music's a big part of your life. In fact, tonight you just brought me a song that you had written, and I know there's a big reveal eventually. But music's a big part of your life, and I know you don't just play drums. But so, what kind of instruments do you play? What's been kind of your musical influence, and what's your favorite instrument? Can you share us about that?
Well, I've played pretty much anything that I can get my hands on. I will try and learn at least a little bit of it. I won't try and learn extensively into it, especially if I get to a point where I'm frustrated and stuck. I kind of just, okay, I'll just stick to what I know.
Yes.
So I know how to play a few songs on the bass. The first instrument I actually picked up was the drums.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, my parents bought me a little play-type drum set.
Yeah.
But as I got older, a few of my friends all played guitars. So, got a guitar. Figured out about 3 months in, I'm playing the wrong way.
No.
Yeah.
You're playing left-handed?
I was playing like this, and then someone goes, yeah, no, why don't you switch this way? I was like, or I was playing this way,
Yeah.
and they were like, no, play this way. Oh, well, why is that? Well, because your top string's on your bottom. Didn't realize that I was playing everything upside down.
Oh my goodness.
So I switched it around, felt more comfortable, and
Big time.
played that for a while. And in high school, you obviously, in music class, you got to learn piano a little bit. So learned a bunch of Linkin Park songs and a few Simpsons stuff, and
Yeah.
just a few little things like that. And one instrument that I'm fascinated with, and my family's been involved with it, but I've never actually got the chance to do it, was the bagpipes.
Oh.
Because my uncles used to be bagpipe players,
Yeah.
and my mother and my aunt were Highland sword dancers.
Oh.
So they were involved with all that,
Oh, that's
with the
cool.
Scottish music and everything
Yes, sir.
else. I find it fascinating. And so, always wanted to try the bagpipes, never tried. But, I mean, I stick with what I mostly know.
Yeah.
And that's rhythm. So, I stick with the drums, congas, bongos, anything I can hit on.
Yeah. And you've taught a fair amount of people. You've taught some of the youth group kids here, and I mean, you got a real talent for teaching and coaching and stuff. Well, I'm gonna ask you some questions about coaching a little bit later, but I do want to ask you just about now you don't have a ring on your finger, but there's a girl in your life named Jess, and she has a ring on her finger. You guys recently got engaged. That's really exciting. Can you tell me a little bit about how you met Jess? How COVID may have interfered with some of your plans, and would you mind sharing a bit about what's going on there?
Yeah, so this November is going to mark 3 years with Jess. We met in 2017, November 11th.
Oh, huh. A day to remember.
It kind of worked out like you seen in those movies where soldiers at the bar and this girl's dancing.
Yeah.
And they kind of like meet. Not like that.
Not like that. Oh dear.
I showed up with a bunch of my friends, and the majority of O'Leary's bar was all DU, Army, Air Force, and Navy uniforms.
Right.
And a friend of mine who was in the Air Force was talking to me and saying, "Dude, you can't be dancing by yourself. Everyone's dancing with someone. I'm going to find you someone to dance with."
Yeah.
So with the help of this very energetic 59-year-old woman who was so determined to find me the one,
Yeah.
with him, 5 minutes later go by after he said that and I wasn't paying attention, spins me around and then spun Jess around and goes, "She's single. Dance." I walked up to her, said, "Do you want to dance?" "Yeah, sure." So we started dancing. She was with one of her sisters and her best friend. And
Yeah.
end of the night, she gave me her name, not her phone number, and I messaged her the next day and found out she only lived 2 blocks behind me.
Oh my goodness.
I lived on Boyaner, she was 2 blocks down. And then we just started seeing each other, and
Yeah.
year goes by, and on November 11th in 2018 was when I asked her to marry me, and I proposed to her in front of her favorite place in the world, Starbucks.
Starbucks. Oh man.
But the ring that she wears is very sentimental to me because it was my grandmother's.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was my grandmother's engagement ring.
That's awesome. So knowing Jess, I assume your mom approves.
My mom, my dad, my sisters, but the biggest one who approves is my daughter Harley. Because Jess has been in Harley's life since she's been 1.
Yeah.
She got to meet Harley on her first birthday. So she's been there since 1, and Harley's turning 4 on November 18th.
Yeah. And I know you, John. Family is so important to you. So it's interesting. You tell me that your mom, your aunt, family involved with Scottish things, bagpipes and sword dancing. But are you part Lebanese? Is that?
Yeah, my dad's mother, her family is from Lebanon.
Yeah.
And my dad's father is English.
Oh.
And my mom's side of the family is Irish, Scottish, French, and a little bit of German.
So you make the perfect Canadian.
Yeah, I'm a Heinz 57. But Yeah, my grandmother came here to Canada when my great-grandfather, her father, served in World War One.
Okay.
And that was kind of their way of, well, welcome to Canada. Do you want to fight for this country and be a proud Canadian? Yep, off he goes. Came back,
Thank goodness.
but yeah, I'm part Lebanese and I have Lebanese in my blood, and I like that culture, like a lot of the culture that I read about and that I've actually got to experience for myself.
Jacko's Pizza. Sorry, what?
Well, my dad came back from Fredericton on Saturday with my mom, and yesterday he goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you here." Hands me a big bag. I pull it out. It's just a big old ball kibbe.
What's kibbe?
It's kind of like a Lebanese, like, hamburger meat type thing, where you can eat it raw, cooked, cold, and it has a bunch of herbs and spices. And
Yeah.
it's amazing, especially with hummus and tabbouleh.
Yeah, I mean, I actually know what those things are, but
Yeah.
so back to like this idea of your it sounds like you serve in the military, right? And you
Yes.
have a great respect for the military. Is that part of your family? I just listened to something you're saying. Can you share a bit about where your respect for military comes from and your?
Yep. Well, my grandmother's father served, and my mom's grandfather, my great-grandfather on my mom's side, also served. And my grandfather and all his brothers all went over to Germany during World War II. And my grandfather was the youngest, so he wasn't old enough to join. He, like most guys back in the day, when they wanted to go over and fight World War II, but they were too young, they forged their documents. Changed his name from Nelson to John Hodgin.
John Hodgin.
Yeah.
So you named after him?
I'm named after him and my other grandfather. They're both named John.
Okay.
But my grandfather went over, served his country, and there was a grenade that went off, and the shrapnel that came up from the grenade took out his eye.
Oof.
But he still lived up till 2008 was when he passed, a year after my grandmother. But he didn't talk about World War II, and those were the guys that you could tell actually seen stuff, and they were there.
Yeah.
Because if you got someone who's talking about it all the time, they didn't see much.
Yeah.
They went over and they were probably behind a desk.
It's like the guys who brag about being hackers. I'm a hacker. Yeah, real hackers don't brag about being hackers, right?
Yeah. But I was the only one my grandfather talked to about it because I had to do a project in grade 8. So he told me every single detail.
Wow.
He showed me his medals, the helmet that he wore, that he still had.
Yeah.
Bunch of different things. He still had his uniform from World War II.
Wow.
But not also my grandfather, but my father and all his brothers, they served in the reserves in the 8th Hussars unit, which is the armory unit up in Sussex.
So what's the armory do? Is that
tanks, heavy vehicles, and all that. So my grandfather fought with the Calgary Highlanders. They're now a reserve unit, but back then they were a reg force unit.
Okay.
So 2014, I said, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
My family's done it. My father's done it. My grandfather, uncles. I'm going to join the Army.
Awesome.
So I got in November 25th, 2014. And I'm going on 6 years. I spent 4 years with the reserves. And now I'm on my 3rd year coming up with the, 2.5 years with the Reg Force.
Now, did you find any advantage being in the reserves first before going to regs, or
Uh,
like if you could do it over again, what would you do?
no, I actually liked the way that my career path went, because not only was I able to learn stuff from the reserve side, but we also had Reg Force instructors as well, so I got to see the best of both
Right.
and the worst of both.
Yeah.
But I decided to go Reg Force back in 2018 because I said I wanted to further my career and whatnot. And I mean, this tattoo that I have, it represents my family, my grandfather, my father, and myself.
Yes.
3 poppies.
Yes.
And it's something that I cherish dear because I do love this country, and
Yeah.
who wouldn't want to fight for it?
That's right. So now what branch do you serve in? Like Reg Forces, but you got a specific realm that you're working in.
Yes, I'm currently with the artillery unit. I've been artillery for 6 years, but when I switched from reserve to Reg Force, I went from the gun line to the air defense unit,
Okay.
to the gun support unit.
So what does that look like?
So what they do is a lot of people think that the artillery, the way they find where their object is, oh, there's a person watching and they're reporting it from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy already ahead. No. My unit, we have radars,
Yeah.
and they track a lot of airspace movements. They can track projectiles, aircrafts, whatnot. And we also have SUAS drones
Okay.
that we can use for surveillancing the ground and whatnot. So a lot of the target stuff that people get for the artillery usually comes from the air defense gun support unit.
Right. Huh. That's it. So I guess it makes sense in my mind's eye. You know, a drummer likes to make big noise, so he's going to fire the big cannons. What's the biggest gun you've ever had a part to play in shooting?
The LG1.
So what's that?
It's a Howitzer.
A Howitzer. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
It's not the biggest Howitzer, but you see them at Remembrance Day
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when the artillery fires off the gun salutes.
Yes.
They use LG1s. That's the biggest one that I have worked with.
That's cool. Now, is that the one that was restored, or is that a different one?
No, the one that was restored from Mr. Irving,
Yes.
that was sitting on top of Fort Howe for years and years.
Yes.
That was actually a howitzer that was used during World War II,
Okay.
and they just put it up on Fort Howe once the war was done. But John Irving asked the city, "Can I take it?"
Mm.
Go for it. Sent it to Source Atlantic, just across the water, and one of their workers was a ex-artilleryman, and he worked on it for a year and a half, 2 years, and then John Irving presented it at a event down at the Marco Polo Terminal to Threefield, because they're called the Loyalist Company because they were the first artillery regiment in Canada.
Okay.
And he said, there's no place this should be but with Threefield. So if you ever want to see it, you can actually go into the armories on the south end, and it's at the very end of the hallway where all the other guns are sitting, and you can see that gun that was restored.
Oh, that's cool.
It can't fire, but it looks immaculate.
That's awesome. So, you also have another amazing side of your story. So you're a musician, you're involved in the military, you love your family, but you have a special gift when it comes to coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching and what groups you're coaching with now?
I was just a kid in the 90s, and my dad would take me to these Special Olympic events
Mm-hmm.
because he would coach.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I got to experience something that a lot of kids never knew about was ringette, which was just hockey, but you're using broomsticks and a foam ring,
Right.
like a fuzzy little ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would actually play with the athletes when I was just a little kid, just to play with them and all stuff. And as I got older, right around 2013, my dad was helping out with the softball team. I went down just to say, yeah, I'll come down and help. Got down there, and I helped out, and the coaches at the time they played, but they never really coached.
Right.
But I was just like, hey, why don't you just try this, and then try this, and try this? Giving some advice. Granted, I never coached before, but I just said, yeah, why don't you try this and this and this? They said, yeah, okay. After 2 weeks of helping them out, they said, hey, do you want to be one of the coaches? Sure, I guess. I mean, I got nothing else to do. I can help out.
Yeah.
I'll coach, sure. So I started helping with that, and next thing I know, my dad's helping out at the bowling on Mondays, and they said, yeah, we're not going to have basketball this year. The coaches, they said they're done, they're tired of it, don't want to do it no more. My dad goes, well, my son just helped with coaching with the baseball team, and
Yeah.
he played basketball all his life. My son will do it.
You were voluntold.
Yeah, I was voluntold. My dad said he would help me out, which he did. He was my assistant and all stuff. But looked around, tried to find a place for basketball and all stuff, and then I contacted and reached out with you guys, and you guys said, yeah, absolutely, like, here's a key, here's a code, have at her.
Yes, sir.
And that was back in 2014 as well.
Yeah.
Right when I was starting around the Army.
Yeah.
I started it with 6 kids. Or, not kids.
Athletes.
Athletes.
Yes.
But there were like, majority of them were like 18, 17, 18.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there were like some young 20s.
Yes.
And me, myself, being 23 at the time, I was just like, okay, well, like, or 24 at the time, and I was just like, well, okay, let's see how this goes.
Mm.
Went great. By the end of that year, I went from 6 to 12,
Oh yeah.
and then the year after that, it went from 12 to 20, and last year, before COVID struck, we were at 34 athletes.
Oh yeah. Because I can remember you invited us out to come play basketball with you. I think I came out not last year, but the year before, 2018. What a good time, man! Like,
Yeah.
They are such special people. Like, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was. And I mean, the special Fun Day region sent me to go to the coaching course.
Yep.
Which was held at the Ross A. Netherwood School, the private school. I got my coaching certificate, so I'm a qualified coach in Canada. And 2018, we went down, we took 5 from Fredericton and 5 from St. John.
Yeah.
We went down to Antigonish for the 2018 Special Olympic Summer Games for Canada.
Oh, that's cool.
First time New Brunswick ever had a basketball team.
Wow.
And in the division that we were in, we came 3rd. We got bronze.
Wow.
And we only got to practice maybe 2 or 3 times
That's incredible. That's awesome.
before we even went down. But they enjoyed it. They loved it. And it was a blast. Like, getting to see how all these athletes that fight with everyday challenges,
That's right.
how they can persevere and get pushed through everything and not be down about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't ask to see anything more.
No.
But I mean, I had to have some people tell me, oh, you're being a little too hard on your athletes. You shouldn't be yelling at them like that. You shouldn't be yelling at them like this. But it's what I do because, like I told them, how would you do it if they weren't special needs? If they didn't have a disability?
Yeah.
Well, the way you were saying it, well, don't you think maybe they would like to be treated like how everyone else is treated and not
Yeah.
treated with white gloves?
And there's a big difference between yelling and screaming, right? Like when I've seen you coach, yeah, it's a gym, you got to speak loud, but it's not demeaning. It's you're treating them like human beings. Like I like your style. I love your style. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, because the style that I set out is respect yourself, respect your teammates,
That's right.
respect the people around you in this gym,
Yeah.
and respect the gym itself because we are in a church. And if I have one of my athletes doing something inappropriate or saying inappropriate words, they know the punishment. I'll make them do a suicide.
Yeah.
I had to do suicides when I was playing basketball for high school and whatnot.
And that's just a physical activity.
You run line to line from in the gym.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was an exercise punishment.
Yeah.
But if they kept it up, they forced my hand, I would tell them, step off to the side.
Yeah.
You can sit up against the wall until you understand what you did wrong.
Yeah.
And why you shouldn't be saying this or doing that.
That's right.
You can't play.
That's having the right kind of boundaries in place.
Yeah.
So, John, so you're a big, strong guy. You're engaged to a beautiful woman. You've got a wonderful child. You've got musical gifts coming out the wazoo. You're involved in coaching. You've got all these things going for you in all your life. And yet, you're human blood with flesh and blood. You're a human being with flesh and blood. And sometimes struggle with some things. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that, I guess?
Yeah, since I was young, I've had depression and anxiety. Mostly happened around grade 6 when I lost my friend Brent Kelly.
Yeah.
A lot of us that went to school and grew up together, we all knew him and we all cared, and it hit a few of us a lot hard. But
Were you on his team?
I played on a few teams with him, and
Okay.
but the fact that we lived 2 houses apart from each other, and our other friend Drew lived 2 houses down from me, I was in the middle.
Yeah.
We always hung out every day, had the same things in common, same music, Blink-182, Sum 41. We liked skateboarding, basketball. That just hit me a little hard, and lost a lot of uncles and aunts around that time as well. And
How old was Brent? And you guys were both the same age, weren't you?
yeah, we were about 12,
Yeah.
around the 12-year mark.
Yeah.
And that's actually when I started coming to the youth group. But over the years, like, my depression got a little worse, and I was bullied. I got bullied a lot, and I used to take it all the time. And
Wow.
one outlet that I found help that my dad got me into was boxing.
Okay.
But I mean, I can't go around Muhammad Aliing everyone that I feel has done me wrong or is getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
But I still do some of the boxing just to, like, at my house, just to try and release some of my stress. But
Yeah.
I have seen someone, and I am seeing someone to help me with getting myself better
That's awesome.
mentally as well as physically. But I mean, I have friends that have lost amount of people within the year.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lost her grandmother and then the next month her father.
Oh my goodness.
And even though I'm dealing with all my mental illness, I'm still there for her to help her through her issues.
That's right.
As well as another friend of mine who's up in Bathurst, who's a nurse, who's just getting so overwhelmed that it's making her have anxiety as well. And I put all my stuff on the back burner so I can help them.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I can give them the best advice, but I can't give myself my own advice.
No.
Because it just doesn't feel right for me.
But that's why we have other people to help us, right? Like, I just think it's amazing that you haven't let these struggles stop you from loving other people, investing in other people, investing in your own gifts. Some people think, oh my goodness, I have a mental illness, I can't do anything. Well, that's a lie. Like, I think that you're a testimony to, I struggle with anxiety as well. It's your testimony for people like myself who realize, when they're going through difficult times, like, you know what? John's pushing through. I gotta push through. But we push through together. Like, it's almost like a camaraderie, a brotherhood of people. And so if you're watching today, like, it's not weak people that struggle with anxiety or depression. It's human beings, right? And John is an example of someone, in my opinion, is very strong. And I thank you for being vulnerable with us today about some of that. Now, you've got a very interesting tattoo on your body. You've got some really cool ones. But you've got a special one with some puzzle pieces on it. Can you share a bit about why you've got some puzzle pieces as a tattoo on your calf?
So the puzzle piece on my left leg is a resemblance to my second nephew. Or, well, not second. Ever since we found out that I have a long lost sister a few years ago, and she's got 6 kids, so he's kind of moved down from number 2 to
That's right.
few down, but he was the first nephew that I knew who was autistic. And me and 4 of my 5 sisters, because we didn't start interacting with my other sister until a few years ago.
Yeah.
But back in 2013, we all talked about, let's go get an autism piece. We'll just get one puzzle piece with some color in it.
Yeah.
For Kale, for my nephew Kale, and we all said, yeah. Well, I went to Pain and Pleasure because my buddy's uncle owns the tattoo parlor, and I talked with him, told him that, your nephew told me to come see you about a tattoo, even though I got my these tattoos
Carpe diem.
done by someone else.
Yeah.
But I went to Pain and Pleasure because that's also where I got this done back in 2018.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you want? I was like, an autism piece. Well, who's it for? My nephew Kale. He goes, how do you spell it? I said, Kale. Alright, how do you want it? Oh, I don't know. My sisters were just saying we were just going to get one puzzle piece each. He goes, well, give me an hour and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I come back and he's made it so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 with each puzzle piece having a letter of my nephew's name.
Oh.
And if you look closely at it, you can actually see that it looks like it's falling into place with each other.
I do remember.
That pieces are falling in.
Yes.
And he goes, this is what I just came up with. After talking with you, I just figured, you know what, I could do this. He actually made the pieces start falling into each other.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway through the tattoo.
Really?
Originally, it was just supposed to be one solid.
Yeah.
No,
It was very 3D-ish, right?
Yeah, no 3D type thing. But halfway through, he just goes, well, if I just do this, and if I add this little here, yeah, nope, he's gonna like this more. Didn't tell me anything. I got headphones on listening to music while he's tattooing me. And he goes, yeah, we're all done. I looked at him like, this looks nothing like what you showed me. He goes, I know, I just seen something, I had to go for it. And I said, I love it.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite pieces on my body.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to see a really well thought out tattoo, you just come see John. He'll show you. It's really well done. So just, we were talking about some of your new adventures that's coming up in this while, and so you've been an athlete most of your life, basketball, baseball, you name it, and it seems like a new passion. So can you tell us a little bit about snowboarding and kind of some of your dreams and passions? How did you get into snowboarding? What's that look like?
Well, I got into snowboarding back in middle school. During the before Christmas break, they would send you either to Pulley Mountain on a bus with like whatever kids wanted to do that, or you just did random events around the city. I went to Pulley, and they said, all right, guys, you have two options, skis or snowboards. And I looked at the hill, and I seen that they were doing pizza and french fries, pizzas and french fries. I said, I'll try ski. I put the skis on at the bottom of the hill. And I go to try and get going. I fall, take them off, not even 5 minutes of skiing. I said, forget it, I'm done.
Oh, man.
Picked them up, brought them in, grabbed the snowboard, felt a lot more
Yes.
remembering to me because at that time I skateboarded. So skateboard and snowboard, one and the same, except if I wipe out on the snow, I'm not scraping my body
Right.
and having to explain to my mom why there's a bunch of rocks dug into my kneecap or my shin.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started snowboarding and I loved it. Got home and my grandparents were at the house and I was like, oh my god, I went snowboarding today. It was so amazing, like this and that. Christmas rolls around. My grandmother gave me my first snowboard.
Oh my goodness. That's cool.
With the boots, the bindings, the helmet, the goggles, and an entire new snowboard
the get up.
outfit.
Oh, sweet.
So I snowboarded, kept snowboarding. Started doing it when the church went to Millville
Uh-huh.
with the youth group.
Yeah.
First time I went, I didn't go snowboarding. I decided to go tubing, which ended up causing me to get third-degree snow burns and my skin peeled off on the little tubing hill.
There's so many tubing accidents.
Yep.
Oh.
But the tubing accidents that you hear from Hillcrest usually have my name involved. Like the 15-person pile-up and the two people on one tube and they lose their skin on the snow.
Oh.
But I went a few times with the church to Crab Mountain. And one time I hit a patch of ice when I was stopping and hit the back of my head. Had a helmet on, but they're like, yeah, you probably got a concussion. You whiplash yourself pretty hard. And I said, okay, so had to sit out. Next year, still went. Didn't get hurt that year. But, yeah, I'm starting to get back into it now and bought a lot of new stuff last year, and this year I'm looking to get out more. And Jess is kind of on the fence about it, actually more so not looking to go in the direction that I want to go because, as she says, my child is my child, which means she is accident prone.
Oh.
When I said I want to get her a snowboard and get her started early, she goes, she's only turning 4. I said, yeah, but there's videos of 3-year-olds doing it. Well, she's your child. She gets hurt a lot. Okay, and your point? She's your child. She gets hurt a lot. You get hurt a lot. So, as long as I'm wearing a helmet, she's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's, if she ever sees what I'd be doing, because I want to get back to hitting jumps, riding rails,
Yeah.
All the fun stuff, not just going, wee.
Yeah.
I want to hit the parks. I want to make my own little creations that I can jump off of and ride on.
Yeah.
But she's a little hectic about it, but
Understandably.
I got a few friends up on base that want to do it this winter, and so hopefully I can get like a camera system and whatnot and record myself and them, and then just that way we can have something that we can post. And
Of course, Jess will see it then, though.
she sees it. But
Your life's in your hands.
yeah.
Well, John, as we kind of come to the close of our interview, is there anything that you want to add? Is there anything that you'd like to say to anybody watching? I mean, we never know who's watching or where they're going to watch it, but is there anything you'd like to say?
If you feel like you need help with something, like mentally or physically, don't do what I did. Don't hold it in for years. It wasn't until having my daughter in 2016 that I realized maybe I should start looking at my mental illness like this instead of looking like this, because there were a few times that you found me and I was in a real dark spot going down a real bad hole.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that I found that I had my daughter that I started getting help for it. You're not weak if you're getting help.
That's right.
A lot of people that I know in the Army, they're actually a lot stronger for getting help.
That's right.
Because a lot of people with PTSD, they suffer with depression, anxiety, and I don't have PTSD myself, but after the stuff that I've seen growing up, losing so many friends and family members and being bullied and picked on and whatnot, it just built up over time, and that's something that I'm dealing with right now, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
That's right.
And I welcome anyone to, if you have me on Facebook, message me. I'll sit and talk with you, just as I sit and talk with the person that's helping me. I might not be able to help you like that, but I'll still sit there and talk with you, and I'll FaceTime with you and have a coffee with you.
Yeah.
Just so you can let something off your chest, and who knows, I might have some advice that might help.
Well, you've been through a lot.
Or I'll direct them your way.
Yeah. And if I don't know, I'll direct you to someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
But, yeah, like, if you need help with anything, ask for it. Don't wait, don't hold it in, just get it done. And if you're afraid of doing something different with your personal life or work life or whatnot, don't be afraid to look at the other options. Because it's like my dad says and my grandfather said, you're replaceable at work, but you're not at home.
Yeah. Wise words.
So if you are at a job where you're breaking your back and you're not feeling appreciated and you're not enjoying yourself, look at a new road, a new path that you can take.
Yeah.
Because your family will need you around a lot longer than your work will.
Some good words, man. Some good words. Well, we usually close with a little word of prayer. I don't know if you'd rather pray or if I'd pray or...
Yeah, you can pray.
Right on. So I invite you to join us. Lord, I thank you for my brother John, my friend John. I just thank you for him being in my life. Thank you for the support he is to me and to so many others in his role as coach, as he serves in our armed forces, as he goes about worshiping you with his music and the creativity you've given him as a dad and an engaged man. I just ask that you would give him wisdom give him grace. I thank you for the support and help that you have given him. And Lord, for those who are watching today, Lord, if they're hurting, I just pray that they'd reach out and get the help they need as well. I thank you for loving us and being with us. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you everybody for watching and being with us here today. I hope you got to know John a little better, and I look forward to seeing you here sometime in the near future. Lord bless you, keep you, and cause his face to shine upon you. Take care.